Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Indie Choice Picks. I'm starting to see a trend happen. A lot of couples are teaming up to take on a comic book work. Usually one is writing, the other one's drawing or something like that. So, last couple that I had on my show was Bitsy Tandem and her husband over in Japan working on Maiden in Disguise. Today I have Carla and her husband John working on Grim Reaper, and they have kind of like a hybrid manga westernized art style, which looks really cool when it's implemented right, and they did a really good job. So they completely crushed their campaign. Their books are currently in demand on Indiegogo, and their links are in the description if you want to get their hands on it. I know I got my copies, and I also got their copy of issue number 1. But I'm going to let them tell you all about their story, their inspiration, where it came from, and what you can do to get your hands on a copy. So without further ado, let's talk to Carla and her husband John, and let's hear about their book, Grim Reaper. Enjoy, folks. Hey guys, Carla and John, thank you guys for coming on the show. I've had my first female guest on the show about a few weeks ago. Her name was Bitsy Tandem, and she works hand in hand with her husband too. I think one is the editor, and the other one is the writer and the artist. So it's getting kind of fun. It's coming trending. I'm getting a lot more couples to come on the show and kind of show off their talents as this dynamic duo. So this is really fun because I do the same thing with my wife. She edits all my stuff, and I draw and I do all the art for it. So it's just fun that we're getting it's fun that we're getting these people like us on the show. So that's interesting. So I'm gonna turn the mic over to you guys. Tell the audience who you are and what book you guys are working on. Go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. This is John G, and this is my wife Carla. We have been working on the book The Grim Reaper, which is live on Indiegogo. This is the second issue. We did print and fulfill the first issue, which we have a copy here. I don't know if you can see it. This is our first book. However, if anybody missed out on the first book, they can still get it in the same campaign or for the second one. So there's a perk there where you can still purchase the first issue along with the second one. Basically about ourselves, we are husband and wife team here. I am the writer and the letterist, and she basically does all the hard work, right? All the illustrations, coloring, all that stuff. Sometimes I do help with the base colors, but she just redoes them anyway. So it's all for nothing. But yeah, no, we have our company called White Cat Comics, where we plan on making a lot more comics in the future, crowdfund them, and then sell them in our own store. So that's kind of our family business here that's taking off. And I'll turn the mic over to you, so introduce yourself.
Yeah, that's pretty much what John said. We are starting. We are new. Right now we have. Oh, that's a we are offering 3 books in our new campaign, and we have a lot more projects lined up for the future. This is only the start of what we're planning to do. And we also have a YouTube channel called White Cat Comics, which I normally share like my process, drawing, coloring, illustrating. Sometimes we do like fun shows, like talk shows. We stream. So yeah, we're just starting, but we're very excited about all this.
That's awesome. So your name of the book is Grim Reaper. What is that about?
Yeah, well, the Grim Reaper series is kind of like taking the character of Death through the hero's journey. Kind of like in a Neil Gaiman's way, what he did with Dream. We're doing this with Death, and we start off as this mysterious man in the hat. You know what I mean? I'll share some pages here with you. This is this is kind of like the first time we meet the Grim Reaper. Is this ominous shadow man with a hat. Who's actually, instead of just taking lives, he's saving them, So
Right.
We find out the death is not just about, him going around killing people, but this one is a more humane death, you know what I mean, that tries to help people out. This is kind of like a Pinhead from that one movie. What's it called? Yeah, I remember the character. Yeah,
Hellraiser.
yeah, exactly. Hellraiser. to where this character became the Grim Reaper, right? He used to be a soldier, he used to be a pilot, and his plane got shot down. He was the Red Baron from World War I. It's kind of like a lot of historical fiction in this. When he died, he gets visited by the previous Grim Reaper and gets offered the job to become the Grim Reaper. So that's basically the main premise of the first book. The main conflict arises when this person who grows up traumatized by the death of his mother tries to reanimate dead corpses. And so, of course, the Grim Reaper has a huge problem with that because he's violating like all kinds of cosmic rules. And so he has to go and stop him and try to also stop the Frankenstein monsters that he's created, right? That's basically the main premise of the first book, you know. There's also, we find out that the Grim Reaper is a family, you know, so he has 3 children that represent 3 ways in which people die. You have Themis, which is the sexy one. We have pinups for her because she's kind of like the, you know, she's the eye candy for from the comic, you know.
Right.
She's his daughter. She's Death's daughter, and she represents beautiful deaths, like people dying in their sleep and peacefully. You know what I mean? And you have the other 2 who are just 2 knuckleheads. One basically represents stupid ways in which people die, like, you know, sticking a fork in an outlet, or you know, like I watched the show 1,000 Ways to Die, and I got inspired, like in a
I
big
can't
way.
do that show, man. That show creeps me out. And I'll be like, oh, I did that last weekend. You mean to tell me I could have died?
Yeah.
No.
And our second campaign, which will be going to the printer soon, you know, we take the Grim Reaper more of a Ghost Rider approach, where he's wearing this armor, right? He's in battle mode because he has to go to hell to rescue a soul that was put there by mistake, right? So they made a mistake, and so he has to go and rescue the soul. So he basically has to wait his way out of hell and goes through the different layers of hell, like in a Dante's Inferno type of way. So there is like, our book is for all kinds. Like, it has so many different themes and genres. You know, we go through a little bit of cosmic horror, you know, even philosophy, but there's tons of action, tons of fun, no politics, no BS. You know what I mean? It's nothing but just straight up fun and action, superhero stuff, even, you know what I mean? So like when I said that we took a little bit of a new game and approach these characters, is that my mind was so blown the first time I read the Sandman, because it was the whole package. You know what I mean? You got the superhero stuff, you know, you got Constantine in it, you have all these other characters, like from the Arkham Asylum and stuff like that. Well, at the same time, he was trying to make it I guess you would say more intellectual, you know, more intellectual, just kind of like in a way that Alan Moore did Watchmen too. So that's kind of like the main source of inspiration for us. We tried something very new in this project, is that my wife she draws manga. So it was her first time doing Western. So what ended up happening is it was kind of a blend, right? Maybe you want to talk about the art.
Yeah. I mean, I come from a manga background. I don't know much about Western comics. Here, the Western fan is John. But yeah, you can see a really strong manga influence in the art. I try to kind of Westernize more in the first issue. Now in the second, I don't apologize. I just go full manga, you know. But it's been a very interesting process for me because, you know, when you're a manga artist, you almost never like color you almost never color pages, right? You just color covers, you color, you know,
it's all black and white.
Exactly, it's all black and white, and you're used to screen tones. So I had to learn from scratch, like how to color pages, you know, and it ended up being like my favorite part of the process. Now I enjoy it so much, and I like to choose different color palettes for different scenes. So it's so much easier for the reader. Like, you just by the color palette, you already know where they are. So I think that's very important also as an artist. I try to make the reader's life easier. You know, that's why also we did something very, very cool in this story, that every time the Grim Reaper talks, his dialogue balloons are like smoky and black, and everybody else's are like just normal and white. But that's easier, for example, when you have like deep dialogues and you always know that the Grim Reaper is talking there. So I think that you don't, it's a no-brainer. You just you can get into the story easier that way. And with that philosophy, I try to. That's why I do the same with the color palettes and stuff.
Right. I'm my background is comics too. I came from more of Americanized comics. I started drawing those about I don't know 4 or 5 years ago, and then I don't know if you've seen on Twitter, but my current project is actually a manga. What people don't know is that I started drawing characters like Goku and Dragon Ball Z characters when I was in grade school. So when you take manga characters and you draw them, the contour lines and the designs are very simple, and that's why manga they look simple, but when you read an actual manga, you'll see that the art kind of indulges the reader with more action lines and more realistic tones than American comics. American comics are great, but they focus more on realism and color, whereas manga focus more on, I wouldn't say the art, but more on the storytelling aspect while maintaining a sharper picture.
It's like very cinematic, you know?
Right.
I think it's very easy to understand because it's just the Japanese are very exaggerated.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, like for example, you see in a Western panel somebody like very realistically holding, you know, a glass and handing it to somebody else. And in the manga, you have like this big glass and the action lines.
Right.
And like
right.
you can grab it, you know. So it's
Yeah.
I don't know. I love manga. I just love manga.
It's just amazing how they do that, where you exaggerate a lot of the actions and the movements, and it kind of gives you that whole feel of actually being in there. So that's why when you watch the anime adaptation, you'll see where those movements come from, because a lot of the anime that is now today, they come from manga. And if you're trying to develop an anime from a manga, the manga acts as a storyboard, and you would just have to draw the in-between for the animation. So a lot of that exaggeration, when you see it in full fluent motion, it makes a lot of sense. And you're like, oh, that's really cool, because that's all the manga is. And it's really interesting how, like, it used to take me, when I was working on American comics and a more westernized style, it used to take me about a few days to like a week to draw in color a full page. Now with a manga, I can finish a page anywhere between a couple hours and like a full day. And it's like same level of detail, same level of work, same level of everything, but you just kind of get the point across of the illustration that you're trying to make according to the script. You get it across a bit faster and a bit more clearly than you would with like other things, because it doesn't require like a full background or anything like that. You don't have to draw like a street or anything. You can just illustrate your point as simple as possible and go from there. And that's why I love manga so much, because it's so easy, it's so simple. Yeah.
I know, you'll be surprised, man. Like my like you were talking about Goku. The first and probably only anime I ever got into was Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, and even that disaster of Dragon Ball GT. So like, to be honest, I wasn't I wasn't that into manga, but then I married this one over here, and that's all we watch now.
Right.
She got me into it, and I was like, okay, I was reluctant at first, like, yeah, I know, it's just silly, you know what I mean? But no, actually, there are some animes that are really badass, and I really love them. So.
The thing is that you have to be patient,
because
you know there are these
Yeah.
typical Japanese culture stuff, like the manners, the excessive manners they have. Like, oh my god, they are like 15 minutes, like saying hello, good morning, like just get to the plot. Oh my god, yeah. I agree with that.
And that is the other thing too. She doesn't like dub, right? She wants to watch it in the in Japanese language.
Right.
And so of course I have to freaking read. You know what I mean? But once you get it, it's fun, and so the interesting thing about her book is is that there is you say that you go full manga, but at the same time there is like the manga faces and manga expressions and manga action scenes. Well, at the same time you do have a little bit of a Western background. You know what I mean? So it's a very interesting blend. I don't think I've seen this very often, but yeah, that's pretty much what we ended up with,
Yeah, but for example, this one is like very manga. This, I think.
There are some pages that are more manga than others. That's for sure.
This one.
Yeah.
Show him this panel.
Yeah, this panel is like the more manga we have. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, but this is like the most like Western-ish.
Mm-hmm.
I try to change my style in this book. But I decided to just embrace my own style.
Yeah.
Just go
Right.
with
And
the-
that's kind of like what I did with mine. I had to kind of merge the Western style and the American style together to form like kind of like my own sort of style. So when people say it, they be like, "Oh, Will did that. That's his work." It's kind of like that one show, Avatar: The Last Airbender. Is more of an Americanized show for
Yeah.
American audience, but it has a lot of anime aspects to it. So that's why when they're trying to classify the show under anime or not, they couldn't really do it because it's not quite an anime, but then it's not quite an American
Yeah.
cartoon. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like blurring the lines between what's considered anime and what's considered not. But that's how
American
that.
anime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
I
his
guess
own.
American anime. I guess that would be a thing now because a lot of people I see are now doing that kind of style, where you have a lot of the manga and anime, I guess, features and styles, and most comic book artists like me who draw that kind of stuff. So it's blurring the
Yeah,
lines a little bit.
like let's be real, manga outsells comics like crazy in America now.
Right.
So
And
the companies are aware of that.
I think a lot of that has to deal with too, because you said in the beginning that your books are just like no politics or no anything like that. You just
Exactly, that's the main point. Yes.
a lot of manga over in Japan. That's why their books are so good because they focus more on telling the story and introducing these characters versus trying to have a political message that's biased or try to have representation in their books. They don't really care about those. The writers over there are saying this is the characters, this is the story. Like Naruto is a perfect example. Yeah, it has political themes in it and this whole cycle of hatred, but people read it because they like the characters, they like the art, they like the story overall. A lot of that political stuff kind of came secondary and it kind of blended in with the story that the writer was trying to tell overall. So
No, like the characters are attractive. Like the Japanese don't apologize. They can give the big tits of a cow to a lady, and it's so good. Like nobody can say anything because you have anything you want. And another thing, for example, if you think of American comics, you go, oh yeah, superheroes. Or it's not much more than superheroes. But in manga, you have a manga about cooking competitions, manga about I don't know what zombies, high school. Fashion designer, high school. Zombies, fashion designer, like anything you want.
Yeah, when I saw My Hero Academia and I started reading that, I go, this is a superhero comic, but it didn't feel like a superhero comic. It felt like another manga anime, but the whole theme was superheroism and like supervillains and stuff like that. But you didn't get that Justice League Avengers kind of feel from it, and that's what kind of separates American storytelling from Japanese storytelling because even if they tried to do the whole superhero thing, you still feel as though you're reading a manga here. And there's very little, I guess, superhero comics in Japan. Over there, I think My Hero Academia is kind of like one of the few superhero mangas that are over there. Most of them, they deal with demons and like Sailor Moon and all this other stuff. So when the Japanese people tell a story, you really have to be like, okay, what am I getting into now?
Yeah, right.
You really got to pay attention because it's like, you don't know where they're going, but then you get into it and you're like, wow, okay, this is great.
Yes.
And you can't miss an episode because you'll be lost. You have to watch it from episode 1 all the way through. You can't skip or you get lost.
Yeah, and I think the thing with anime and manga too is like a lot of the Japanese culture itself bleeds into it, right? And that's why it's so hard to replicate and do the same thing with American manga because I'm not saying you have to be Japanese to the manga, but you really have to understand where it comes from,
right?
And the cultural context of it. And I think we're doing kind of our own thing here with our comic or our manga, whatever it is that it is, and it will be interesting to see where it goes. I think one thing that is important for us is like the whole crowdfunding thing just allows us to have such a relationship with the buyer. You know what I mean?
Right.
The buyer always comes first, and we we have such a close relationship. It's almost like a family. Like you look at our last 2 pages of the book, right? And this is a bunch of tombstones with the names of the people who backed the first book. You know what I mean? So little
cool.
things like that, little nods. You know what I mean?
Nobody can tell us what to do.
Personalized sketches, and things like that we do for our backers. It's just like little nods. We grab the names of our first backer or whatever, and we put them into something. into a place that's taking, that's, you know, where the story is happening or whatever. So little things like that we do, drawing perks, all that stuff. You know, it really brings you closer to the people who are supporting you. And I think that's one thing that mainstream American comics have really failed at, because you know, not only do they not care about what the customers think about their product, they demonize them, right? They're constantly attacking them. And that is just the worst business model you could possibly come up with, right? Whereas here in the indie scene, us, you know, in the underground scene in Indiegogo and stuff like that, we're not only listening to our customers, we're really developing a relationship with them in a way, you know, especially on our YouTube channel, on our social media. Like, everybody knows that we follow everybody back. We always, you know, we at the bottom of our campaign, we have our Twitter feeds, we have our YouTube channel, we have our email, you know what I mean? So if anybody has any questions or any concerns or any complaints, you can just reach us and we'll address it. Kind of like in a way what comics used to be back in the day, you know,
Right.
Back in the days of Stan Lee, where, like, for example, you know, they will drop an issue of a comic that didn't exist yet, and at the back they'll put their phone number or their mailing address for people to write them, you know, with ideas or with feedback or what they thought about the book, you know. I think that's super important because, for example, on our first book, of course, mistakes were made, like in anything, right? But we listened to the feedback that a lot of people gave us, and we improved and we made it better for the next time. And I think that's really the way to go in any endeavor that you try.
We were just sending to print now June 1st, so we are there.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's cool. And that's why a lot of people in the indie comic scene, that's why they're more successful with their books versus like mainstream Marvel and DC, is because we actually sit here and we listen to what the people have to say. Like, every page that I do, I post it on Twitter and I go, hey guys, don't be nice. Let me know what this is, what you like and what you don't like about it, so I can fix it, because I'm not the expert when it comes to drawing anything really. Like, I can't draw hands to save my life. I swear to God, I try. I can't do it.
Who can draw hands?
Right. I just draw a balled up fist and justify why their fist is bald, because that's the only way you can do it, right? Yeah, that's all I can do. So I genuinely appreciate the feedback of people, because not only do I want to tell a good story, I also want to represent the artwork that comes with telling that good story, because people are going to be attracted to the art and everything first before diving into the whole meat of everything, which is your story. So I 100% I agree with that. And I see, because you guys have done that, your first campaign, you guys completely crushed it.
Yeah, we did good in the first campaign, but I think the second one, and that really shows what we were trying to do. You know, we
did more than the triple of the first one.
Yeah, we tripled it.
Awesome.
We tripled the amount that we done in the first one, and we did reach our goal, which was a pretty humble goal and pretty achievable, but it did take us a month to get there, you know, through hard work, through getting the word out there, spreading the word, of course, and letting everybody know that we had this project. People showed interest and they came in and supported us, but at the same time there was that, you know, there was that trust thing, right? The trust barrier that you have to pass when it's your first time. And I think that the smart thing that we did is just we went ahead and fulfilled fast, you know what I mean, and we delivered.
There you have your book.
So people had to, you know, and so one smart thing that we did as well was, when we launched the campaign, we were pretty advanced into the pages and we were almost pretty much done, you know what I mean?
Right.
So that there would be no excuse of being late with what we had, right? So I think that was very important, because then people had something to show for it, and then we start building that trust. So when the second time comes around, everybody who backed the first time came back, you know, and then they told other people, you know, and then the word spread like wildfire, and then more people came and supported it. Yep. And that's really where we at with these campaigns is we want to build that reputation, you know what I mean? And because once you build a reputation, it sticks, you know what I mean? And that's what we want to be known for, is of course taking care of our customers and doing good comics.
Yeah, like, just to put this in numbers, our first campaign we had 43 backers in the campaign. And in this one, we have 155. So that's a lot more than the first one. So that's how we know we're going through the right path, and we're preparing our next campaign to do even better numbers. So
yeah, and I mean, and it's crazy when you think about the fact that we have, you know, I would have never thought that this would be possible. Like I always wanted to publish a book or to do this, right? Because I always like writing, but you know, how crazy is it that we can reach people in Australia, in New Zealand, in Finland, in Brazil, whatever, you know what I mean? In Singapore, we have some backers from over there, you know, shout out to everybody who, you know, overseas who backs us. So it's a crazy thing for me to even fathom, you know. I wouldn't have guessed that we would get here in a million years.
Right. That's awesome, you guys. That's great. So that kind of brings me to my closing question. We're kind of running low on time. I ask this question for everybody who comes onto the show because a lot of people who are watching this show, they are aspiring comic artists as well, and they're also looking to do a crowdfunding and, you know, kind of get the ins and outs on how to do it right. So my question for you guys, what's the one piece of advice that you can give to run a successful crowdfunding campaign? One from both of you. Let's make it fun.
Okay, I always start.
Ladies first.
Yeah, okay. Well, my first advice would be to have, I don't know, say 70-80% of the project already prepared before launching. So you can actually dedicate time to marketing. Don't never underestimate marketing because that's the success of your campaign. Also, we started from scratch. When we started, we didn't even have Twitter accounts. We had no following whatsoever. We had nothing. We got into a community which is called Comicsgate. Okay, so everybody supported us in Comicsgate, and like that helped us like a lot. I don't know if everybody is Comicsgate who's hearing this, but my advice to everybody would be like work on a following, you know. I don't know what kind of followings, like I don't know if you do manga, people who are interested in manga, I don't know. Something that adjusts to what you want to do, and that would be my, like, you know, some people are very popular in YouTube and they decide to launch a campaign just like that and they get funded like with these ridiculous high numbers.
Right.
So maybe you can have like the prettiest project. You can work so hard, but if you don't have the following, it won't fund. It has nothing to do with the worth of your project. That's something I want to make very clear, okay? So I would say 50% of your effort in making a good quality content and the other 50% in having people following you in social media. Now it's a sin not to have like active social media. Like it's free, everybody does it. Everybody's quarantined, everybody can access, right? So yeah, just get working on your YouTube channel, make shows, entertain people, like build that how to call it, like that relationship with everybody. We live stream a lot, for example, and we just entertain the people. We talk about fun stuff, and people they hang out with us, and it is something beautiful. Every time there's new people joining, you know, the channel grows. It's nothing really big, because that's the other thing. You don't need to have a 1 million subscriber channel to have a successful campaign. Our channel is 380 subs at this moment, which is nothing in YouTube. That's nothing. But that people shows up, and that people is loyal to us, and that people is interested in our work. So I think that's something very important. You don't need the highest numbers to do it, but you need some. Don't be like us. We started from zero. No, your turn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well said.
Very well said. And yeah, just to second that, promote. You know, there's never enough promotion. Go to other people's live streams. You know, usually people in the comics community will always have you on. You know what I mean? like she said, grow your own audience. Don't be dependent on other people's audience, and always be live streaming on your own. Even if you're a shy person, you gotta shake that off. Get in front of the camera, you know what I mean, and talk and get people to know you, because that's how you build that trust. And the most important advice for especially, I don't know how it works on Kickstarter, but for Indiegogo, and this is a big one, create a mailing list and don't launch the project until you have a good amount of emails on that mailing list, right? Because that way you can kind of measure what the interest level of the project is. Of course, while you are doing the mailing list, go on live streams and promote, put it on Twitter, and ask your friends, ask your family to share it everywhere in all social media possible platforms, you know what I mean? And then launch that mailing list. And once
it's ready, it can take
it could take whatever time it takes, but once you have those 100 to 200 300 mailing subscribers, you know what I mean, or something like that, whatever number you're comfortable with, then hit that launch button and of course send an email to everyone. We're not sponsored, but I do recommend MailChimp to do that, you know what I mean? Send that mass email to everyone and let everybody know, everybody who showed interest, hey, this project is now live. And there's been times where it's been proven that people have to see a campaign 6 or 7 times before they actually back it. You know what I mean? So you have to put it in their minds. It's like you mentioned earlier, you could have the best looking campaign, the most awesome book in the world, but if no one sees it, it means nothing. So you have to get your audience and you have to get people interested.
That's very well said, guys. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. You guys have your second campaign going right now. When is that going until?
Well, we don't know. We are fulfilling soon. So in the next 1 to 2 months, everybody will be getting it, and then after that, we will kind of see where we're going to where that's going to end. Especially because we don't want to be running 2 campaigns at the same time. We have the next one lined up for August. So I'm pretty sure that by August, this one will be closing.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
because in Indiegogo you can you our campaign already is closed, it already finished, but Indiegogo has this feature which is called In Demand, which is like an online store, so you can still get the book. Okay. Our campaign finished when did it finish?
About 2 months ago.
Like 2 months ago, and we're still selling. Okay. So
you can still get the same perks that you see there from the previous campaign. It's just that it's now in demand, which means that we already reached the goal. We passed the goal. But it is a good thing, because since we are in demand, if you get the book right now, and we send to the printer, you probably won't have to wait as much as everyone else has been waiting.
Oh, of course, yeah. Yeah, so we're gonna be printing now in June 1st, and then we're gonna move on to our next project in August.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, guys, if you guys are interested in the Grim Reaper, that link to their Indiegogo will be in the description. And I'm about to go get mine right now because it seems like a really interesting story. So be prepared to see my name pop up on your notifications that I backed it, because I'm about to do that right after we're done here. So
thank you so much for the support, and thank you for having us, brother.
No problem, guys. You guys enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. Keep your hands clean. And eat a rack of ribs for me, okay?
All righty. Sounds good. Thanks for having us, brother.
No problem, guys. Enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And that is it for this episode of Indie Choice Picks. Guys, we made it to season 3. I'm excited. I am so stoked to get new creators onto this show. If you are an indie comic book creator or a writer or whatever, as long as it's indie, I want you guys to come onto this show. I am now taking submissions to have guests onto this show, and you guys are all welcome to come and join me on the show. I think I said show more than once. Anyways, you can find me on Twitter at Heroic Studios, or you can hit me up on Instagram, Will at Heroic Studios. Both of my tags and links to my social media is right there. So please let me know if you guys are interested in coming onto the show. I will see you guys next time with another fun, filled, exciting